Hello YouTube, Eric's Projects here, back with Super Crunchy. Hey, I need to do the glow plugs on this thing. They've gotten really bad and it doesn't hardly start at all anymore unless it's plugged in. You know, I've seen several videos on people swapping out glow plugs and this and that, but everything that I've seen starts with the valve covers already off, or you know, the glow plugs are halfway out already, and you know, what do you do to get to that point? Well, this video is going to be right from the start. As you can see right now, I mean, I just drove the truck home, got the hood open, letting it cool off, but this is going to be from the get-go. How do you get to the glow plugs? How do you get the glow plugs out? Looking at the valve cover gaskets with the wiring in them, and just the whole thing from start to finish. So I hope you enjoy it. I've never done this before. Never even really looked at the manual for it. I'm just going to figure it out as I go and learn some things and hopefully share some stuff with you in the process. Let's go. Okay, right away you can see that, like I said, everything is still there. So I'm going to start with the driver's side because that looks easier. Pull the air intake tube, pull one of the turbo tubes. Heck, I don't even know the name of it. I mean, that's going to have to be, you know, unhooked all the way down here where it goes up. Shouldn't have to remove the alternator or anything. On into the back. Let's see. We've got whatever that little connection is there. Hopefully this side should be pretty easy coming off. I pulled the air filter out, the battery box, battery, get everything out of the way. I've pulled the so the air intake tube and the intercooler tube, pulled all that out. Are you supposed to have oil in your turbo stuff? I don't know. But something that does kind of question me is those fins look a little chewed up. I don't imagine it's supposed to look that way, but oh well. It's easy enough to get to the turbo now, and you know, if this is all I got to do later to replace a wheel, maybe I can get in here and split this housing and put a new wheel in there. I don't know. I don't know how easy those go in or hard. I've never done it. But anyway, this is where I'm at so far. Air filter, battery box, air intake tube, and intercooler hose, and almost down to the valve cover. I'll go ahead and disconnect this from the bracket on the valve cover. And then I should be ready to pull the valve cover off. Here's the wiring harness that, you know, gets crusty and fried sometimes for the glow plugs. Alright, keep going. Okay, brackets off. Wiring harness thing there is disconnected. This bolt in the back here, you're going to need kind of a deep one and a flexible universal joint and an extension to get that one out. But should be ready to lift this thing off and see what it looks like underneath here. Now, supposedly these gaskets are reusable, so I hope they are, because they're 70 bucks a piece for another one. Oh, haha, I forgot a bolt. Okay, now that I got the bolt out, let's see here. Apparently it's pretty sticky. Okay, now we're ready to take it off. I had 2 bolts left, not 1. So it comes off very nicely. And there we are, under the valve cover of a 7.3. Now, glow plugs being here where these red and white wires are. And blue and white. and green and white, and it looks like yellow and white. So, time to change them. Okay, I just took a pair of needle nose pliers here and pulled the wire off at the top of there very gently. And you're gonna need a 1/4 inch drive, 10mm deep socket with the extension to get down in there. I tried a 3/8 drive and there's just not enough room here. The 3/8 gets hung up. And I'm replacing with the Motorcraft ZD11 glow plugs. Good stock replacement. This is going pretty easy so far. Don't know what I'm gonna say about the other side though. A helpful little tool is a magnet, and we'll stick it to the glow plug and everything else and try to get it out of there. Perfect. Okay, I'm assuming the new one is going to work better than the old one. That thing is burnt and it's all carboned up and crusty. So I wonder this thing doesn't like to start. Okay, one down, back in. Put in the same way the old one came out, hanging on a magnet, dropped it in, slid the magnet off, 10mm 1/4 drive deep socket with the extension, threaded it right in, needle nose pliers, push the connector back on, and one down, 7 to go. Okay, valve cover's back on. Pretty straightforward of how it went back on. Little wires pop right back on the top of the glow plugs, just the opposite of what they came off. Brackets are all back in. Everything's back to normal. Something on this bracket, when you put it back in, slip it over the 2 studs here and leave it loose. Then put these 2 screws in to the intake and then tighten down the nuts on the studs. That'll make everything a whole lot easier. Now I'm going to get the hoses back in and the battery box back in and on to the other side. Okay, on to the passenger side. This is the side that I think is going to be a real bugger. I mean, besides the intercooler for the turbo, I mean, potentially have the AC bracket in the way. Different lines, heater. Yeah. Let's see if this one's going to be just as easy. Okay. Now, not quite as bad as I thought. I removed the intercooler pipe, just undid it from the hose clamp, down here off the intercooler, nose balls the top. Took off whatever this bracket is called there. I don't know what I did with it. Oh, here it is. This bracket sits right there. Pull that off, get it out of the way. And gotta undo. Hi, Isaac. Undo the dipstick, the oil dipstick. That's just a nut on the valve cover stud right here, right there. And then pulling the remainder of the valve cover bolts out. Now the one in the back and these 2 that are up against the AC here, shallow socket with a universal and an extension, and they come out really easy. Now with all that off, this thing comes right out. Voila! Now we are on to side 2 of replacing glow plugs. This is the passenger side. Okay, all the glow plugs are in now. Wires are back on. Pushed down good. The connectors are squeezed together good. Notice they were loose on the other side too. Don't know if that matters, but why not? So, ready to put the valve cover back on and put this back together and fire it up. Alright, this project's all back together. Intercooler pipes back on. AC on bracket on top of the AC is back on. This went together and apart a lot easier than I thought it was going to. I was pretty intimidated at first, especially looking at the passenger side, but things went really well. I didn't even end up with any extra bolts left over, which means I obviously did something wrong. But now it's time to fire it up, and I'm sure it'll smoke a little bit because every time I pulled one of the glow plugs out, some oil went down the hole. So fire this thing up and see if it sounds any different, I suppose.
Not too bad. Had a little bit of smoke come out of there, but clear right up.
There it is, another successful project from Eric's Projects, doing glow plugs on a 7.3 diesel with some pictures and images of how to actually get to the glow plugs, not just starting with them already off. Enjoy your vehicles and drive your vehicles. God bless you.